Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Morning.
All these faces, they're coming in.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, Jordan.
Morning, all. Morning, Latasha.
Morning.
Heather from the Gorge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jeremiah. Morning, Shauna. I always feel like Shauna's on the go. You ever notice that?
Oh,
In her car, walking down the hallway, running down the street, always moving, that woman. Way to go, Shauna.
I love it.
I know. She gets stuff done.
That thing. Oh
Morning, Cindy.
my gosh, they're jumping in fast.
Good morning.
Miss Gilbert.
I will have you know I made an appearance at the office this morning. I'm at Cat Williams.
Awesome. Awesome. Glad someone is.
I'm
We
bummed I
we
missed
didn't-
it.
We didn't get a new pretty office for it to sit empty. So thanks for doing your part, Shauna.
It's beautiful. I was there yesterday.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
All right, Katie, it's 9:03. Should we get this party going? We'll keep letting people in as they jump in. So good morning, all, and welcome to our monthly State of the Industry. I'm Leslie Hilbert. We do this every time. So because of all our new faces, I'm the general manager of the Experience Brokerage Network. And Katie, who the heck are you?
I'm Katie. Katie Hardman. I am the Chief Opportunity Officer for the Experience Brokerage Network. And the reason we say all this, Leslie, is why?
Because we are always welcoming new amazing family members to the network. So we're excited to announce and have welcomed 14 new Experience Brokerage Network family members since the last time we got together on the SOI. So a huge welcome to all of our new family members. So make sure that you reach out to them, drop something in the chat, say hello, and get to know them as we grow in agent count and market share and mind share. So welcome to all, and welcome to your first SOI.
We're honored to be in business with you guys. So thank you for joining us and making our family even bigger. So today's conversation is going to be about a skills-based market and upping your skills in the fourth quarter and thinking like a business owner and making great decisions for your clients. And so we wanted to start by shouting out the agents who have been upping their skills in August and have made our leaderboard. So like we do every month, here are our top agents. Congratulations to our top agents in the category of closed units. So solo is one agent who solely does this production, one sales agent. So huge shout out to Aubrey Martin. I saw her across the hall, who closed 10 units in the month of August. Adrian Gonzalez was 7, Christian Rader was 7, and Nick Nelson. So three-way tie for second place in the closed unit category. Lou with 5.5 closed units, Darren Ricketts with 5, and then Erica with 4.5 units. Shout out to all our solo agents. Team category, there was a lot of ties in this category. So this is 2 sales agents that together make up this production. So you can see a 4-way tie for first place with CM Real Estate, Johnson Fast Group, Sarah Hesselman, and Team Kelleher. And then Timber and Rose with that half unit took second place. So congrats on 4.5 closed units. The Brock team with 4 closed units, and then Ben V. Mondragon team, Delahook team or Homes, and then Premium Northwest with 3 closed units. And then groups, holy smokes, Benson Broker Group. So this is 3 or more sales agents working together to make up this production. 34. I had to double check that this wasn't a typo. 34 closed units in the month of August. That's huge. And then PDX Property Group with 14, Josh Cooley team with 13, Galen Haas with 8, Darren Darcy and Maurer Group with 7 closed units. So congrats to all our top agents in closed units. Now we also know that volume matters because this is what leads to GCI and helps you have an experiential business and life. So also want to shout out our solo agents in closed volume for the month of August. Dan Oaf with 5.6 million, Aubrey Martin with 5.5, Kristen Rader with 5.2, Gail DeWitt with 2.4, and then Candace McLean with 2.3 million. Great job, solo agents, top solo agents for the month of August. In our teams category, Sarah Hesselman with 3.1, Sold by Jen with 2.4, CM Real Estate with 2.5, Timber and Rose with 2.3, and then Johnson Fasting with 1.9. Huge shout out teams. And then groups. I mean, if you're closing 34 units, you might as well be the leader in volume as well. So Benson Broker Group with 13 million in closed volume, PDX Property Group with 9, Galen Haas with 6, Mentor Group with 5.7, and then Josh Cooley with 5.6. So if you're looking to mastermind with someone who has, or multiple people who have upped their skills for this skills-based market, these would be great people to talk to and invite out to coffee, or start a mastermind group in your office to all get better together. So now, few announcements, you guys, as we talk about a skills-based market. We're almost in the fourth quarter. So we know history tells us that this is the time of year where agents take their foot off the gas. And combining that with the changes that we've seen in the market, we have the perfect storm right now, you guys, to be taking more market share. So I'm excited to announce that we are bringing back for the fourth year our fourth quarter takeover listing competition, where we will be tracking activities and celebrating the wins of those that are taking market share in the fourth quarter. So how do you participate? Take more listings. So the competition is around taking market share. So the way we do that is by taking more listings. So in the fourth quarter, so October 1st to December 31st of this year, all you have to do is get listing contracts signed and uploaded into Command to qualify to be the winner of our competition. So there will be 4 winners because we have 4 categories. Category number 1 is our rookie category. So you got licensed, if you were licensed after September 30th of 2021, then you're considered a rookie for this year's competition. Solo category is, again, 1 sales agent who does that production all alone. Team category is 2 licensed brokers, and then the group category is 3 or more. So today is the day. Time to go take market share, go take listings for the fourth quarter. Any questions about the fourth quarter takeover before we talk about some skills?
You know, Katie, I would just want to say that we always have this question. So once again, Katie just gave you kind of our rules of engagement for this awesome competition. So remember that they have to be dated October 1st through December 31st and have to be input in Command in order to qualify. So that is the key, is that we only count them towards the ranking once they are input in Command. So plan accordingly. And then Katie, how are we going to be recognizing these winners as we go through the next couple of months?
So there will be 2 levels of recognition. Your market center will be talking about this on a weekly and monthly basis to let you know like where you're at in the standings. We will do that at the network level as well. And then every week you can expect in your This Week at XBN the rankings. And then at the end of the competition, so our first SOI, or State of the Industry of 2023, we will be recognizing the winners, and we want to reward the winners with an experience, but also help you in growing your business even farther. So we're going to be contributing to your family reunion experience and helping you get there and get in the room with some other top agents, because at that point you will have been the top agent in the network. So we're excited to celebrate you.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions, Katie. So I think they're ready for a little friendly competition to start.
They're on the phones right now. Okay, well, but
They're
keep the
ready.
phone down for a couple more minutes because we got some other fun things to talk about. So if you're sitting here thinking, great, I'm excited about this competition and there may be some skills that I need to acquire or refresh on in order to win this competition, I wanted to tell you guys about our Accelerate Productivity Coaching schedule for Q4. It has been curated and updated to help you in upping your skills in today's market. So starting on October 10th will be our fourth quarter Accelerate Productivity Coaching schedule. And the classes that are, what's that little thing? Asterisks. The word I was looking for is asterisks, are open to everybody. So these are the classes that I would jump in. It's not just for brand new agents. These classes are for everyone, and they're taught by top agents across the network. So again, another opportunity to ask questions and mastermind with our top agents. And there's some new classes that have never shown up on the schedule before. So you can see Instagram and Reels. Like I probably should take that class. The Capture Leads with Social Media class, Capture Leads with Open Houses has been rewritten. And all of these classes, Keller Williams has gone in and updated recently. So if you've taken Ignite in the past, take it again. Jump into some of these classes because we are going into, or we are in a skills-based market and you want to take more listings and win this listing competition. So here's one way to improve your skills for the fourth quarter. Also, you guys, this is happening next Thursday. If you haven't bought your ticket, it's not too late. Jeannie Osnes is actually a coach for Gary Keller's top agents. So the fact that she's going to be in Portland and going to be talking to us the way she talks to them and helping us plan for the business of 2023. So if you've been to business planning, well, I got a little out of control there. If you have been to business planning in the past, this is not that. This will be a special conversation around what needs to change or what do you need to focus on to plan for the business of 2023, because that business isn't this business. So I highly encourage you to sign up, get your ticket. We only have about 15 seats left in the room. So also get your ticket today so you have a seat. Okay, this is another one. I know it says your first home, so it's like buyers, but another tool to put in your toolbox to be in conversation with more people and to be improving your skills to help all of your clients is this book. Actually was released yesterday. So it is written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. It's a refresh from the book that was written a couple decades ago. And so you can order it in individuals or packs of 10. So this is a great one if you want to be in front of more potential clients to be purchasing this book and giving it out. Okay, and as you are out lead generating, I just wanted to remind you that you have a team of resources, of leverage for you in your business to help run your business as you are out getting more listings. So our link services include administrative help, transaction help, marketing help, talent help. So if you need help in at all, I guess, reach out to me or anyone on our team. Go to the link that is dropping in the chat so that you can get the leverage and the support you need to go and grow your business. Okay, that was a lot of resources and we're not going to stop. Chris, you and I have been talking and I know you've done a lot of presenting and thinking on this topic of how to take market share and how to increase our skills. So tell me a little bit about like, what have you been thinking about lately?
Oh, thanks for having me, Katie. And thanks for all those awesome announcements. I a couple months ago went back to a book that I had read, probably 2 or 3 years ago called The Golden Rules, and have been sort of weaving this into some conversations with some of our partners and agents and my team and actually some of you as well. So this will be a refresher. but Bob Bowman wrote this book. Anyone know who Bob Bowman is? Who's Bob? Who is Bob? No one knows. It's funny how no one knows like the guy behind the guy, right? Or the girl behind the girl. Yes, Madeline, you nailed it. She wins something. She got it right. Bob Bowman is an author. Bob Bowman is an author, but he is more well known to some, maybe not this group, but more well known as the coach to Michael Phelps. Bob is one of the greatest Olympic trainers and Olympic coaches of all times. He is the most decorated Olympic coach, and I think sometimes coaches don't get the credit that they deserve for the medals that those that they coach earn. But he was fascinating, and so as we head into a different market, I think all of us can benefit by just taking a step back and saying, hey, can someone like that teach us something? He wrote this book, The Golden Rules, 10 Steps to World-Class Excellence in Your Life and Work. And right out of the gate, he quoted actually a Sports Illustrated article from 1983 when the writer was talking about a swimmer. And the writer said this. He said, out of stillness comes swiftness. Out of patience comes energy. He had crossbred two seeds that grew on opposite sides of the wall. Why do you think that stillness and patience are necessary right now in our market? That is a question for you to be able to raise your hand and answer. Why do you think that stillness and patience is so necessary right now?
Because everything's changing so fast.
Yeah, Jen, thank you. Everybody, everything and people are changing so quickly. And so it is easy to get caught up in that. The market has shifted, buyer's language has shifted, the seller's language has shifted, the stock market has shifted, interest rates have like with change comes what? A little bit of nervousness. Sounds really going fast, or mowing their lawn. With change comes nervousness. So out of stillness comes swiftness, out of patience comes energy. Bob Bowman said for all top producers across any industry, but specifically athletes, which all of us are entrepreneurial athletes, he said that stillness and patience are important. Now, how do we get that? In his book, he said that training makes physiological aspects of the race automatic. So think about what you do each and every day, right? We show up, we have activities to do, we have tasks to do, we have calls to make, we have presentations to present. Like the reality is training makes the physiological aspects of any race automatic. He said when you're in a race that's going to last 10 to 15 seconds, and some of the races he coaches does, right? Some of your phone calls, by the way, last less than that, unfortunately. But when you're in a race that lasts 10 to 15 seconds, he said you don't have time to make decisions. You have to have it automatic. So right now, I wanna ask, right? Each of us need to ask ourselves, hey, am I putting in the time to train and to practice? Like when you looked at that training calendar that was put together, by the way, thank you to every single person that's contributed and will contribute to that, right? Couple months of training. We should be training more than ever right now. What made Michael Phelps invincible was his astonishing rhythm of training and practice and preparation. Like Bowman said in his book that he had the whole package of preparation. Anytime he got up to swim a race, this is his coach saying it, and so did Michael. He said there was always 2 or 3 people that could win. Think about that. There's always 2 or 3 people that could win. Anytime, right? There's always 2 or 3 people. The fact is that's no different for us. When you go out and meet with a buyer, when you go out and meet with a seller, there are always 2 or 3 people that could take that listing. There are always 2 or 3 people that could represent that buyer. They're talking to multiple people. They're meeting multiple people. They are emailing, texting, and calling multiple people. So there are always 2 or 3 people in the pool that can win. Everybody on the block was a phenomenal swimmer, right? everybody was in training. Everybody had a pretty decent mindset. So it came down to details in the pool. And in your business, it comes down to details. Now, Bob said, here's what's so interesting. Once they jumped in the pool, like there was nothing he could do to help Michael, right? There's no coaching from the sidelines. There's no audible. There's no talking into the speaker's ear in an ear set like there are in so many other sports. In swimming, the coach has the least effect on their mentee once the race starts. The fact is for many of us, that is true as well. So the importance in that coaching relationship and setting up situations and training where they can go through things that will come up, where we can talk through things and situations that might come up, when we can script and dialogue through conversations we're going to have. Like, it is critically important, because once we're there, no coach is going to be there to teach us, to train us, to tell us what to say or how to show up or what to do. And so Bob Bowman said, first and foremost, it's training and practice. Training and practice, one in the day-to-day, intense, consistent training. Now let's talk about coaching for just a second, which is a little bit different than training. But he said that great coaching has moved from telling someone what to do. So we have to be careful, because sometimes we complain about our coaches, right? Because like, well, like, just tell me what to do. Like, they don't have any good ideas. Like, I just come to the table. Like, great coaching has moved from telling someone what to do to developing a plan and reminding someone why they chose that plan. So, do you have a plan? Right? Are you reminded why you chose that plan? Do you consistently go back to that plan? Like, that is why everyone should be in Jeannie's session, right, next Thursday. Do you have a plan? Why? Because in the heat of the competition, when interest rates go up by 1.5 or 2 points, when buyer pool drops by 30%, while inventory shockingly continues to go down, like, in the heat of the competition, we don't rise to the challenge, Phelps says. We fall to the lowest technical level of your best practice. Think about that. We will fall to the lowest level of our practicing. We compete in the real world at the lowest level of your practicing. So I want you to think about the last time you practiced, and maybe it's been months. Hopefully it was yesterday, or maybe this morning at 8:30 at your stand-up, or as you're gearing up, or with your accountability partner. But we compete in the real world at the lowest level of our practice. Now, we don't think that's true, do we? We think, oh, no, not me. Not me. Like, when I get on the phone, I'm really good. When I get in front of someone, I'm really good. I'm telling you, Michael Phelps says, he was, by the way, pretty good. He says that he competed at the lowest level of his practicing. And that's why practice needs to be so good. Now, did he practice a 10 every time he's in the pool? This is what his coach said. It's interesting for him to hear what his coach says about him now, right? He says Michael Phelps averaged a solid 8 in every practice. Well, that's pretty good, right? Like, listen, like, he wasn't a 10 at every practice. He wasn't even a 9 at every practice. He said he averaged. Now, did he show up at 10 sometimes? Yes. But did he show up as a 6 or a 7 once in a while? Yeah. He said every day, though, he averaged a solid 8 in practice. They weren't 10s every day, but they weren't 4s either. Some of us are showing up as a 4 in our practice, or a 1 because we don't do it. He showed up every day and practiced at a high level. Training, coaching, practice. The next thing he said in his book that was critical was keystone habits. If you're taking notes, write that down. 2 of us wrote it down. Keystone habits. He said, what keystone habits do you need? Now, each of us have some keystone habits. Bob Bowman said that Phelps was a brilliant athlete, right? He was technically close to perfect. He was absolutely ideal. Like, he had the absolute ideal physique for swimming, right? Like, all of those were he was brilliantly, technically perfect. But guess what? So was everyone else competing for an Olympic gold, by the way. But Bob Bowman said early, one of the things that Michael Phelps didn't do was relax. He said he had a real difficult time calming down. While he was swimming and competing, his parents were divorcing. He had problems coping with stress. There was a lot going on in his life. He spoke about that later. So Bob Bowman gave him a book on relaxation. And one of the scripts he read each night out of that book was tighten your right hand into a fist and release it. Imagine the tension melting away. Tighten your right hand into a fist and release it. Imagine the tension melting away. Like he rehearsed relaxing. Why? Because that was a keystone habit for him. So what are your keystone habits and are you rehearsing them? Every night, he said, every single night, he said, before he fell asleep, he rehearsed that. He rehearsed that. He rehearsed that. Why? Because being perfect physically, being perfect technically, being perfect wasn't going to be enough for him. He needed to understand what were the keystone habits. Bowman said that Phelps had a perfect capacity for obsessiveness. But again, most athletes do, right? Most athletes train obsessively. So the keystone habit for Phelps was making him the strongest mental swimmer in the pool. So he designed a series of behaviors that Phelps could use to become calm and focused and mentally strong before every single race. And there's lots of documentation about everything that that man did before he swam, like everything from the minute he showed up to the pool, in the locker room, how he changed, how he got ready, how he walked out, who he looked at, like everything was this mental, right? It was a mental contest because that was a keystone habit. He would tell Phelps to watch videotape, watch it before you go to bed, watch it when you wake up. But he wasn't telling him to pop in a I guess that's my age. He wasn't telling him to pop in a VHS, a DVD or whatever they want. He was actually mentally visualizing the perfect race. So if you watch video of them interact, you will also often hear Bowman shouting from the side of the pool, watch the videotape, watch the videotape, watch the videotape. And it was this mental visualization that was his keystone habit. I'll tell you one quick story. It was in 2008. Phelps was competing for the gold in the 200 fly. And that was going to be the race that would put him as the most decorated gold medalist in Olympic history, right? All-time most decorated gold. But when he jumped off the box, his goggles shifted and they began to fill up with water. Many of you know this story, right? What happened? Pretty soon, those goggles were completely filled with water. And you might think, oh, okay, just deal with it, Michael. Yeah, that's because we swim in pools, right? Like in the backyard. Like he needed his goggles because of how they turn, how they push out. Like seeing is incredibly important to a swimmer. So he could see nothing. Usually that would mean disaster. But here's what happened. He had already visualized this potentially happening, right? Watch the videotape, Michael. He visualized what would happen if his goggles filled up with water. So what did he do? He knew how many strokes it took him to get to the other side, and he counted every single stroke of that 200 fly, eventually won the gold and went on to win another 13. But here's what's so interesting as we think about visualizing our appointments and visualizing what we'll say and visualizing in front of the seller and visualizing at the open and visualizing at the buyer consult and visualize, like that is a keystone habit for us. But I'm gonna leave with this because we saw some amazing numbers, right? Solo agents selling 10 houses in a month, 7 houses in a month, 5 houses in a month, teams 14, 13, 12, 11, groups 34, right? There was a question that Phelps asked himself a lot. He said, am I trying to be the best or am I trying to be my best? And I think that's a really valuable question. Over the past few weeks, I've been thinking about that question with a lot of our partners and agents. It's been resurfacing. The best, right? If you say, "Hey, I'm the best," it's defined as that which is most excellent, most outstanding, most desirable. So as we think about the best in any industry or field or category, honestly, the only way to categorize that is metrics, numbers, comparison. The fact is there's no question that Michael Phelps shows up as the best competitive swimmer of all times, right? He has 28 Olympic medals, 23 gold. The closest competitor has 11, right? Like that's going to be a while before someone gets 28 or 23 gold. But here's what's so interesting. It's easy to say he was the best. But most recently, Phelps has had conversations and opened up and talked about the time in his life when he was winning those golds, where he was the best, but clearly not his best, right? Are we trying to be the best, or are we trying to be our best? When the focus became being number one in the world, when the focus became winning gold at all costs, when the focus became just winning, he said he wound up losing himself. In the drive to show up at the top of his game, or at the top of the game, he wasn't at the top of his game. He was depressed, he was internally conflicted, he was unhappy, he was unfulfilled. So being the best could actually be in conflict with you being your best. As we review athletes and sports teams and companies and entrepreneurs, right? The challenge is that we need to define best. We have to define it internally, not by numbers, right? Not by statistics, not by walking across a stage or getting to the top. Like that's what's often focused on. But the reality is being our best will lead us down the path to our preferred future. We set goals. Like we set goals hopefully based on how do I build this so that I am my best, not the best, but my best. Listen, like there are some incredible entrepreneurs out there. Like we're not going to all be the best in the industry, and thank God, right? Because we probably wouldn't be our best. I loved one interview. This is kind of my generation, so I'm sorry, but if you watched the Olympics back in 2008, Eric Vendy was a swimmer. He won silver once. He won silver twice. Like he kept on winning silver. Why did he win silver? Who was winning gold? That guy, like the guy on your screen was winning gold. He said, I came in second to Michael Phelps in 2008 with a silver. It was the year that people said he had a shot at gold. And many people would come up to him and say, man, too bad you had to race against Michael. You would have won a gold. In fact, you would have won a lot of golds. And you know what he said? He said, I am so thankful that I got to race with him and against him. Because I did, I accomplished what I accomplished. And I love that. And that is what a network, and that is what teamwork, and that is what we do for each other. We only can define what our best is internally. And then those around us help us sort of grow, right? They help us learn. Like, look at the roster. Like, look at the list of classes that are going to show up for you in September and October and November. These are people that are their best, right? They may not be the best, but their best. And they're sharing their best with you. Why? So you can get a silver, right? Like, so we can continue to get better as well. So with that, I just thought, what a phenomenal story, right? There's wins there, there's losses there, there's training there, there's coaching there, there's practicing there, there's visualizing there, there's keystone habits there. There's so much applicable to who we are in business. And maybe right now we're feeling like he did, right? Maybe we're at the top and we're feeling that way. Be aware of that. Like, be okay with being your best and not the best. And I think it's a great message for us. Now, we have to be our best, right? That doesn't mean everybody take off for the rest of the 3 months because you're at your best sitting by a pool or at the beach. Like, the fact is we are here to build experiential lives for ourselves and those that we take care of. And the only way we're going to do that right now in this market is by showing up and training and practicing, by showing up and listening to a great coach, by showing up and building keystone habits, by showing up and visualizing ourselves doing the work. Oh, and by the way, and showing up and being our best and doing that work too. So please hear that message woven through. The man is a 23-time gold medalist and a 28-time Olympic medalist because he did show up. Now, show up at your best, and we'll all live experiential lives in the process. That's what I got, Katie.
Well, now I feel like I need to go and like work on being my best. So thank you for that. And actually, we have a really cool opportunity to hear from Michael and also to work on getting to this place where we feel and we can show up at our best. So Chris, will you tell us a little bit about what Built How is and what the people who are going can expect the 29th?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. What's interesting is all of that sort of Michael Phelps research was not based on the fact that I get to talk to Michael Phelps and interview him for anyone that shows up in a couple weeks. I run a Friday call for our partners every single week, and I think I've done I think I counted 16 different calls on Michael Phelps, and so this is just kind of it feels almost like a homecoming. But in Austin, in Phoenix, in what are the dates? 28th and 29th, in a couple weeks, we are going to be bringing together top agents, and I'll be open. They're top agents from all different brands and all different companies winning at certain things. They are great at FSBOs, or they're great at finances, or they're great at lead follow-up, or they're great at events, or great at different parts of the business. And so we're bringing them in for 2 days and interviewing them, and interspersed, I believe that we've sort of built just a phenomenal lineup. Many of you have heard me talk about Brendan Burchard for a very long time. He's a good friend of mine. He's a KW client. Interestingly enough, KW has sold, I think, now 8 houses for him, which has just been awesome. But he is going to be showing up on that Thursday and doing a keynote, and I'll get to interview Brendan, just a high performance coach. If you've read High Performance Habits, one of my favorite books of all times, if you haven't read it, it's a great time to read it, but he'll be there. We're bringing in Tom Wheelwright. Many of you know Tom because you've read his book, Tax-Free Wealth. But he is going to share just tax advice for the real estate agent right now, as we get ourselves set up for 2023. Just incredible strategies. Tom works with some of honestly, the biggest business owners across the country. He actually does all of my taxes and finances as well. Just a great human being, a great author. He just came out with his new book as well. I think it's 7 tax or wealth strategies having to do with taxes. And obviously Michael Phelps is going to be there as well on Thursday and spend some time with us. We'll do about an hour interview with him, talk about all the wins, but be ready because we're going to ask him about what some of those losses felt like as well. And then a couple of our partners actually down at Goldman Sachs or out at Goldman Sachs are going to fly in. And I'm going to tell you, like, they almost get forgotten because Brendan's there, and they almost get forgotten because Michael Phelps is there, and they almost get forgotten because Tom Wheelwright's there. But these are some of the brightest wealth managers in the country. I work with, the picture on the screen is Molly. I work with Molly personally. We're going to have a couple people from Goldman talk about where the market is, what's going on in the market, how does that affect real estate. Some of the greatest real estate economists, by the way, are on staff at Goldman, and many of the reports that you read or hear about are built there. Those are the people that are going to come out and speak to us. So we're thrilled for it. We did a discount of 50% for anyone in the brokerage. So I believe that link should get you there. If you don't get there, let me know personally. I will tell you, to put the event together, this is not a money maker. I think it'll cost $175 if you want to go. But we are funding this truly to bring these people. And we think it's a pivotal time in the industry for all of us to look around and help each other and share and get outside of our own office and our own state and our own brand and our own company and our own industry, as you see on the screen, and really sort of put together a phenomenal event close to home, easy to fly to for all of our people. So hope to see many of you there. If you are, just shoot me a text so I know you're coming. And if not, we'll bring back the information for you here at the Experienced Broker Network either way.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. So for you, those of you guys who missed it, it's September 29th and 30th in Phoenix, Arizona. The link is in the chat, but if you do not have the ability to get to that, no worries. Remember, we will always send this stuff out in the wrap-up email, so you can get some additional information and get signed up. And we're excited for those of you who are going to get to go, and we will bring everything back to you guys. All right, Katie, that's not our only speaker today, because we always promised lots and lots of value. And Chris had mentioned that there is a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in our economy and a lot going on in our industry. And although I love to talk about numbers, this month we are going to defer our local market stats and have those discussions in each of our market centers in our team meetings and our all partners meetings. So you are not going to miss out on those stats, but we're going to bring those to you locally because we are so excited that 2 months ago we had an incredible speaker giving us those market updates. He is back by popular demand today to tell us what is going on out there in the economics and in the mortgage world. So welcome back to the State of the Industry. Jesse Pacifume with the president of BKCO Mortgage. So welcome to the call today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Do you guys have any idea how stressful it is to follow Chris Suarez in any sort of presentation situation? Do our best here. Can I grab screen sharing pretty please? Thank you guys for having me. I want to talk, it feels timely to have an economic discussion about the market and what's going on. So I will jump right in. Interest rates, right? I think you had a couple of regional meetings where you're discussing interest rates this week. So, we're sitting at about 6.375. And you see this graph with, going from 5.5 up to 6.5 and then 6.5 down to 5.25 and now back up to 6.375. This is creating a lot of tension in our market, right? And I want to congratulate you all because you have now lived through the most volatile interest rate market in history. So 2022 will go down as the most volatile interest rate market since we started measuring this. So what's happening here is that we're really being driven, the interest rates themselves are being driven by two things, jobs and inflation, right? And that's what the Fed is working to manage. So yesterday, we had our consumer price index, the CPI, which is kind of the leading indicator of inflation. There are a lot of other indicators as well. The PPI came out this morning, but the CPI is the big one. And what happened here, the reason we saw things jump from 6 to 6 3/8 is that the headline CPI was up by 0.1%. Now, the expectation was that it would be down. So at a high level, the experts, right, the consensus was that we would have inflation trending down. And the data shows us that inflation is still trending up. The concerning component of this for the folks that watch it closely was that most of that inflation was happening in food, both restaurant and grocery food. So, gas prices are down. A couple of things that impact us pretty dramatically were down. But the food being up and some of the core CPI numbers being up were problematic. So that means that we are still in an inflation fight, right? And that the Fed is going to have to increase rates more. So our mortgage rates spiked up. And it was a pretty dramatic spike. I mean, we saw like 4 rate increases in one day. 6 to 6 3/8 basically in 2 hours is pretty dramatic. So that's what's happening now. This morning, things have moderated a little bit. You guys saw the stock market took a pretty solid beating yesterday. Last time I checked, it was up about 100 points, so basically flat. So now we get to see what happens to the market and how it reacts long-term to this inflation news, right? Every single month we'll get new inflation data. But this interest rate run-up is not going to stop until we get inflation under control. And we, when I say we, I mean the Fed, right? With their one key lever, which is the federal funds rate, right? And as a reminder, the federal funds rate is the rate at which banks borrow from each other. It's the overnight rate. So it impacts things like credit cards and car loans directly. Indirectly, it impacts mortgage rates. So we want to look, okay, so what's happening here in the US, but we also want to look globally. Last week, Europe, the European Central Bank increased their interest rates 3/4. They were basically sitting at 0. Now they're at 3/4. This was a surprise to most people that were watching. So inflation in Europe is still running hot. It appears that inflation in the US is still running hot. And then next week we have the Fed meeting. So this will be kind of a big headline event, but I want to help quantify this a little bit from a real estate perspective. Right now, the expectation, 80% of the consensus, is that the Fed will increase rates by 3/4. So that's basically built into this market. That's kind of built into today's 6 3/8 on a 30-year fix. So if they increase 3/4, it will be a non-event. Rates might actually slide back just a little bit. If they increase by a full point, we could see rates run up pretty aggressively, okay? If they increase by a half, which is highly unlikely, we could see rates actually drop. So we're expecting 3/4 next week. We're expecting rates to, depending on what other economic indicators we see, we expect rates to be at this 6 3/8 range. And there's several people around our office that think rates could run to 7%. If they're going to do it, now would be the time. So I will remind you as we're having this discussion, because people always ask, what are rates going to do? I have no idea. I'm wrong 90% of the time. I can sound incredibly smart and quote my friends at Goldman Sachs and tell you what I think is going to happen. But you know what? The market has its own direction for us. So as agents, we just need to be aware that it is volatile. That's the information you need. Things are changing. I mean, you guys, not even 2 weeks ago, we were sitting at 5 1/4. Now we're at 6 3/8 on a $500,000 loan. We're talking about hundreds of dollars a month, right? So there's real human impact to these changes, and how we manage it in this skills-based market matters. So here's how we think about it from the mortgage perspective. There's 2 things that we want to manage really effectively. Number one is perception of this market, right? There are so many headlines. The sky is falling. Real estate values are going to crash. Interest rates, most volatile market in history. That puts buyers and sellers on their heels. So we have to pull them off their heels and pull them forward. That's the skill that I think is most important in this market. The second thing we need to manage is affordability. Let's face it, home values haven't crashed, especially in your market, right? Home values haven't crashed. They're not going to crash. They might correct a little bit in some pandemic-fueled markets, but there is too much demand to create a real estate crash. So we want to manage perception and affordability is our view. And those are the skills that we think we need to bring to the table today. The piece of good news here, and I don't know if he feels the same way today after the CPI number, but NAR's chief economist last week, Lawrence Yun, said, in terms of the current housing cycle, we may be at or close to the bottom in terms of contract signings. I thought that was, there's a bunch of data behind that, but I thought that was an interesting point that, this August timeframe may have been the bottom for the total number of contract signings, and we could see things climb. Now, again, I haven't read anything from Lawrence post interest rate adjustment, but what this could mean is that we'll have more activity in the fall. So, generally in this business, you take a look at July and is there going to be a month better than July after July, right? That's the question we ask ourselves. This year, the answer is yes. And you have your fourth quarter challenge going on. And I think that we could do more business in the fourth quarter than we did in the third quarter, right? I really do believe that. Related to perception, and I will get these slides out to Katie so that she can distribute them, but this is an interesting perception document. Anybody that's been in the business for less than 5 years doesn't realize, and this is a graph of interest rates, right? It's kind of complicated, but you can see the picture. You see this line here is at 5.5%. Historically, interest rates are above 5.5%. They've been where they are today. I am 47 years old. I was licensed in 1996. Somebody said, what do you think of 6.375? I said, I'm fine. I mean, that's like my first 4 houses were higher than that. So I'm good with 6.375. But anybody that's been in the market or is a first-time home buyer or didn't buy a home before 2008 really perceives these rates to be high. So it's important we help them understand that in a normal functioning economy, interest rates in the 6.5 range are going to be completely normal. The anomaly was total collapse of our global markets in 2008 led to a protracted lower interest rate. And then this 3% number is a future fantasy, right? This 3% number from 2021. We want to remind people aggressively that that was based on pandemic-driven global collapse again, right? So in a normal functioning global economy, 6.5 is fine. All right. So manage perception around rates. We have a lot of people on the sidelines. I wanted to get to this slide. I know a very short-lived period of time, but I want to tell you what we're seeing in the mortgage market, and then I'll shut up and hand it back to Katie so we can keep going. But here's what we're seeing in our business. So these are our numbers, right? Lower conversion from lead to close. We went from 20% lead to close last year to 12% so far this year. Okay. So what that means for you, and this is the skills building discussion, you have to make more dials and have better scripting than you did last year. We were shooting fish in a barrel last year. Okay. It was like, yeah, you want to buy a house? Great. You better hurry and get me all your stuff, because if you're not fully pre-approved, zero chance you're going to get your offer accepted. And if you had cash, it would be better. Now it's different. Okay. So you need to make more dials per lead, and you need to have better scripting. We're seeing a higher number of sidelined buyers. I have a field in my CRM called LT Flop, long-term follow-up. These are folks that are on the sideline for one reason or another. That group has grown from 200 to 500 people from Q1 to today. I have 500 people that have told us that they're going to wait to buy. Okay. So we need to understand their why. Why are they waiting? Why do they need to buy? We need to also talk about real estate locally. The headlines are insane, but your Portland markets are very unique, right? You need to get right down into your local market and help people understand what's going on in town. You also need to make sure you're running long tail follow-up. We have gotten into a couple of databases, and for us, right, being our best each day sometimes means going out and generating new leads. We talk about this all the time. What's your lead gen strategy? What are you doing? Don't sleep on your long tail. We had one of our MLOs jump into and make some Brivity dials last week. They reset 4 consultations on leads that were considered dead last year. So don't sleep on your long tail. We are working hard on these 500 people, right? We're creating scale. So now more than ever, get back into your database from 6 months or a year ago. We're also seeing higher contract fallout. Q1, we're at about 5%. Contracts that fell out, we're now at about 20%. I think the national numbers are higher. I think it's like 24%. This is just our data, remember. So higher contract fallout. I want you to have a backup plan for your buyers, right? If they don't like this house, where's the next house? What are the other projects they're looking at? What's the other real estate they're looking at? If you have a backup plan, you can move more quickly and efficiently to if you have an inspection fail, I think it's great. We can now actually pick the house we want, and we can actually do inspections and figure out we're not getting a lemon. But you need to have a backup plan, right? Last year, there was no backup plan. It was like, I'm making an offer on this house. I'm one of 30. So it's a paradigm shift, right? Make sure you have a backup plan. The last thing we're seeing that I want to talk about is longer loan durations. We went from 21-day duration, so contract to close. We're at 35 days now. Now I have plenty of capacity. I can close in 21 days. Most lenders can close in a very short period of time, but contracts are just taking longer. We have contingency periods. We have inspections. You have to stay connected to your buyer and to your service providers, right? You have to stay connected to your lender. Time kills deals, right? I like short duration deals. The longer we go, the more likely we are to have a fallout. So you want to really stay connected. So these are the things that we're saying. And just to give you an idea, make more dials, get better at your scripting, do the script practice with your team. Make sure that you understand how to convert a lead to a buyer in this market. Follow up with your long tail folks, right? Your long-term follow-up. Create a backup plan in case you fall out, and stay connected during the transaction. Stay really connected. Lending guidelines are changing and adjusting. You really want to understand what's happening with your transaction. So that's our thought on increasing skills in this market. What's going to happen with interest rates? We don't know. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. Very good chance they go up again. And we've talked a lot about like 2-1 buy downs and those things. So I think next week, I'm going to see most of you. I'll be in town. And so I'm going to do a little 2-1 buy down. I'm going to run some scenarios with you as to how you can help people save $20,000, $30,000 and get back to 3% interest rates, at least in the short run, right? To get them into a house. So that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse. Like always, such good information. And shameless plug. Yeah. If you guys want to talk to Jesse, if you want more information, if you want to hear more, come to our Master Series event next week. He will be at the event speaking. you want to connect with them, right? I was going to say he wants to connect with you. I should make sure that's okay. So come to our event next
in.
week so you can talk to Jesse and hear from Jeannie, but thank you for always bringing the most up-to-date information. Okay, we are going to anchor. I wanted to bring one more amazing opportunity to you in thinking about how to attract people to your business and how to attract clients, or if you have a team, attract agents to your business. So the amazing Latasha Beal is with us, our regional DEI ambassador, amazing agent at Keller Williams Sunset Corridor, to tell us about a few opportunities that you have right now. Hi, Latasha.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Good to see everyone's smiling face. Great information today. I just quickly wanted to touch on some DEI stuff for you guys. So, Katie, do you have slides for me?
I do.
Awesome. So it's almost Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. As you can see, that's going to start tomorrow on September 15th. And so this is another amazing opportunity to celebrate diversity. And so if you're wondering, how do I support this? How do I get on board? Just grab some Hispanic culture by food, by dance, learn more about their history, and support Hispanic-owned business and restaurants. If you're already in your market centers, if you don't have a plan to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, join on to something that's already happening in your community. You're going to see a lot of posts for it. You want to just go out and support that. Grab a group of agents and go out there and enjoy it. Get a lot of questions about how do I attract agents or talent based on the amazing DEI efforts that we have here at KW. There's so many ways to plug in to what's happening at KW. So there's a lot of training coming up. I'll get all the links to Katie so she can get them in your wrap-up email, but Unconscious Bias in Real Estate is going to be on September 14th. And our Welcome to the DEI Community is going to be a great one to join. That's going to be on September 15th. The Color of Real Estate is going to be on the September 15th, and Create More Equitable Opportunities Using the Social Equity Workshop is on September 29th. So if you are interested in bringing more DEI efforts to your market center, talk to your leadership, plug into those trainings, and invite other brokers to come alongside you. Yep, you can flip to that side now, Katie. So, and we have so many great affinity networks with KW. So if you haven't heard of some of these networks, the Black Real Estate Network, the Rainbow Network, join these. They are actively involved in recruiting talent to the market center, and they're also just involved in creating events and getting people aware of these different demographics, what they think about, how they think. It's important to increase diversity, y'all, because we're just getting more diverse in this country. And what we know is that the demographics of buyers are changing, and you want to have diverse practices in your business so that you can attract all of that new buyer and sellers that are going to be coming on the market. So join these groups. I'll get those links to Katie so she can get them out to you. And then my last plug for DEI is going to be the Agent of Distinction badge that we have. And so as you can see, they're saying 50% of America is 40 or under, and Gen Z, 50% of those are people of color. So when we talk about being an agent of distinction, when we talk about having diverse, being able to attract a more diverse clientele, it directly impacts your pocketbook, right? Like what we know is that things are changing. So jump on board. There's 3 ways to become an agent of distinction. You can do it on your own. There's 5 self-paced modules, so you can just take it as you can. There is going to be a live virtual training. Julia Lachey will be leading the head on that, and that's going to start on October 5th. And it's going to be every Wednesday. You're going to come together with a group that join, and you're going to get your agent of distinction together. And then, of course, that's the live and in-person one coming to your area. So that will be something that your leadership will get on board. But I just wanted to plug it because KW is amazing, and that they've taken on diversity at such a high level. They're all about equity. So join in, get your agent of distinction. I'm always here for questions, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Latasha. I think, Lily, you have a question or a comment?
Actually, yes. So thanks to Latasha, I'm involved with another group of agents from other KWs and some other brokerage to bring the Hispanic chapter of NAREF to Oregon. So we are having our first event, like to explain what we're trying to achieve by bringing this chapter in September 29th. It's going to be in Portland. It's going to be live and also in Zoom for people that cannot go to Portland. So if anybody is interested in going to this event, and I'm sorry for jumping into the meeting for this, but since Latasha was talking about equity, I thought it was a good opportunity to invite people over to our this first event. So if anybody's interested, please contact me. I'm in Capital City.
Yeah, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. That's NAREP. That's what Lily's talking about. We don't currently have a chapter in Oregon. So Lily and an amazing other real estate professionals are working to bring that to Oregon. So that's amazing and huge. And if anyone's available to support it, let's support Lily. This is amazing. And we have a KW leader that's going to be a founding member of this amazing opportunity for Oregon. So that's huge. Thank you, Lily, for all your work.
No, thank you, because you got me involved in it. So thanks.
So we will get all the links. Thank you, Latasha and Lily. We'll get all the links out to you in our wrap up email. So we've talked about, I mean, Leslie, we've kind of covered everything at this point. We've talked about
a blended meeting, Katie.
Yeah, the how to be your best, how to increase your skills, how to interpret the market, how to be an agent of distinction and attract diversity, equity, and inclusion into your business and into your team. I think it's been an abundant Wednesday already. Well,
thank you guys all for joining us. We will see you hopefully next week at the Master Series. Some of you at Built How, and definitely see you all next month at our next SOI. Katie, thank you so much for pulling this all together today. We totally appreciate you, and thank you all for joining us. And we're going to call it a day. Have a powerful day, you guys.
bye, everyone.
Bye.